Hi everyone, so my name is Diogo from Odoo. I'm going to show you how to test Vuestorefront with Odoo connector. So this is on Vuestorefront GitHub, and this is the connector itself. So it's a library, okay? So when you start your own project, you should start first with the demo, and we have one at our GitHub at Odoo Vuestorefront demos. So you have demo 1, we'll have others soon. So if you have your own Odoo server, you will have to use the Odoo modules on your Odoo server, and they are at Odoo Vuestorefront. As you'll see, we have 14, 15 and 11 not ready yet, but it will be soon. And right now I'm going to show you with 14. Before you start, here it explains how to clone your modules. And if you want to dive into Vuestorefront Odoo integration, you have the documents link here on Vuestorefront Community Odoo. So you have configuration, and it explains more or less how to set up Vuestorefront. So let's get started. So first of all, you will want to clone the Vuestorefront demos. So these are the Vuestorefront demos. You just copy here, you open your command line, you git clone, and then that's it, and just press enter. It's going to be fast. And now so now we will do yarn to set up the libraries, install the libraries. This will be pretty fast. Okay, next step, you will need to build. Okay, that is going to take a bit more time. Before we do that, we will use Redis, because Redis is used by Vuestorefront connector to cache the website. So if you change a product inside Odoo, Odoo is going to communicate with Vuestorefront, and it's going to invalidate the cache, and so Vuestorefront, on next request, it will pull the fresh information from Odoo. That makes it very performant and highly efficient, right? So the best way to set up Redis on your local without adding more software, it's just using Docker. So let's do, I already have a command here, Docker run. There we go. It started using a Docker image. If I do Redis -cli, here I am. Okay, so it's working. Now let's do yarn dev. So this operation is going to take a while, so I'm going to pause. Okay, but while it's building, we can start cloning the Odoo modules. And so you go into Odoo Vuestorefront. There you go. You have a command here you need. Choose this one. And now let's open in a different window so we can save a bit time. And let's clone it in this base folder as we have here. So we will want version 14. As I said, you could use the version 15, but 14 would be more stable at this point, I guess, in terms of having more features. So now I'll just use a name, VSF-Odoo modules. Well, that's enough, okay. So it's going to clone, and it's going to recursively update some modules. Okay. So now we'll see. We have, as you see, we are using GraphQL base from OCA. So if you do ln You see, this is from REST framework from OCA. It's pulling from that module. Okay. Now let's look here. It's already publishing. If we open the website, you'll see it's working. Now the thing is that this is using our demo server as a default, but you can also spin Odoo on your own local, and that's what I'm going to show you. So if you now stop this one and you go and add an export base URL localhost 8069. You will be able to check that out here on the documentation as I showed you. So if you go here, you go in configuration, so you see the base URL by default is pointing to the server that you're going to use. It's not going to point to this one, it's going to point to our server, which is VSF demo. But you just need to export this, and this is pointing to the Odoo server that you're using, right? Of course, if you're using Odoo online, it's not possible because you cannot install Python modules in Odoo online. Then, yeah, the backend base URL, you don't need to use it unless you need Odoo server to be right next to VSF and you need to connect directly. Public path, this is only for production deployment, where you can specify your CDN, or if you don't have your CDN, you can specify your own server. This is just a Nux deployment, okay? And now this setting of configurations, you can define your Redis server, and you can also disable if you don't pass anything, and you can pass Redis password also if you wish. So that's it, not difficult. So now we exported, but now we have to spin our own server. So I'll like enable a virtual environment, which I have ready with all the libraries. You should install this with pip install -r, pip install -r requirements. Okay, I don't need to do it because my own already has. And then you just need to spin a server. Okay, so I'll show you how. So you can spin. This will take a bit more time, of course. So VSF will do, so we have to pass the add-ons path. I'm using enterprise, then I'm using 14 server, then here it's not this one, but it is VSF Odoo, VSF-Odoo, the same folder that we are using right now, and 14 VSF demo 1, okay? This is going to take a while. I'm just using another parameter, init, and then I'll just HTTP, we don't need it. This is going to take a while, of course. So this time I'm going to pause the video. Okay, I missed a very important thing, which is installing the module. -E and then GraphQL Vuestorefront. Okay, and now yeah, we are set to go. Okay, the server is already installed. Now we just need to remove this and this one, and you can maybe use workers, at least 2. There you go. Now the server is starting. Let's open on a local host 8069, and let's see. Sign in, admin. When we install the server, our module has demo data with the same products that you see on the Vuestorefront demo. That's not available anymore, but it has the products from Vuestorefront, which are these ones. And so if I just search for Vest, this one, I guess, the first one that shows on the list, I'll just edit the name and we'll use XX here. Okay, now going back to Vuestorefront. So I exported to my local host, base URL, and now I'm going to do yarn dev again. We wait a bit more. Okay, now the server is up and we can just go to Vuestorefront on localhost again. We refresh and then we click where it says man. First time will take a while. There you go. XX, so it means it's pointing to our own server. And that's it. That's as easy as that. Of course, if you want to check out our demo without doing this, just go into vsflabs.odoo.com. You can test with Lighthouse. You'll see the amazing performance. You get like production servers, you can get like 99% in terms of performance. It's really great. And how it achieves that is that using the Redis cache, it always loads everything into cache, so it's always ready and available to serve. And that is, of course, the biggest bottleneck. If you just use a normal Odoo server, you'll spend much more resources to achieve the same speed. Also, in terms of SEO, since it uses Nuxt, it is much more ready in terms of optimization, technical SEO. And so this is based on Storefront UI. You can do it without Storefront UI using plain HTML, but normally we try to use Storefront UI in terms of reusing the existing design, and also Storefront UI is used by several companies, so it's quite optimized in terms of performance also. And doing that, how you do it is that you start with the Figma file that you can find on the Storefront UI website. So if you go to Storefront UI, now press read the docs. Okay, now because I'm recording my browser, it's a bit slow, I guess. But now you see pages, templates, organisms, so it's molecular design, right? And here you will see the link to Figma. But how it works is that when you start the project, you first define every component, and it's much more like when you're doing software development. You can select, for example, a component, and then you'll see here, click here, and it jumps into the component. So if you will define in each component the design, you can change the CSS, you can use slots to add additional content, you can change the component itself, right? And this way you're going to be much faster defining the whole site, starting with something which is already great, which is mobile ready. It's a design that it's very consensual, I guess. And yeah, it reduces the time to market. Also, the advantage of being headless, of course, you can have your own CMS in a different place, and you have lots of options for that. There are open source CMSs, or there are just systems like Bloomreach that allow you to do much more. You can have your data in Odoo, which I hope it will be your preferred backend, because Odoo, it really is great where you can have all your sale orders, and then when you confirm the sale order from the website, you can handle the shipping inside Odoo. It has integrations with shipping connectors. You can handle the manufacturing, everything without leaving the same system. So you will reuse all your data. You'll reduce the amount of wiring you need to do with all the systems that you use on the backend, your CRM, everything in one place, right? That's the advantage. And then you have a storefront, which is Jamstack, it's JavaScript, that most of the system is published using a CDN, which is blazing fast and it's being static. It's also an advantage in terms of security, right? And so if you go back into Odoo, you'll see you have this GraphQL VSF editor where the guys from the front end can see all available queries they can use, and they can test them here, the quotations, and it creates a very good flow between the backend and the front end team, because they got this tool. When we add some endpoint on the backend, it's going to give this documentation, which is great. And that's all. Thank you for listening. See you next time. Bye bye.